Good afternoon. My name is Ikea Young, and I am very glad to see you today. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to maybe talk and see what's going on. I'm correct, your name is Hannah, right? All right, Hannah. Why don't you tell me a little bit about why you're here and what we're working on?
Well, to be honest, I don't even want to be here. I don't feel like it's necessary. I was inpatient a couple months ago for some suicide attempts and just some instability and I don't know. I don't even feel like I should have gone inpatient, but I've seen multiple therapists outpatient since then, and I don't feel connections with them. I feel like I've gone to so many of them, and I don't even want to be here. I'm just anxious. Like, I was nervous all night thinking about it, and nervous all today, and I don't know how I can benefit from this, really.
Okay. All right. So before we go any further, I did hear you say that you had been inpatient for some previous suicide attempts. So I would like to know, are you feeling like you might want to hurt yourself now, or?
No.
No, not at all? Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. That's progress, right? I can see you're anxious, and tell me a little bit about that. If you've been inpatient and worked with some other therapists, tell me what you're anxious about.
Well, I guess I'm nervous to tell a stranger my story, and I don't know how it will play out in the long run. I don't necessarily trust strangers. I know that this is your job and that's fine and everything, but I personally don't want to tell you what's every detail of my life and what's going on.
Absolutely. Well, don't worry. You won't have to tell me every detail of your life. Let's just focus on why we're here. I understand that you are anxious, and I'm a stranger at the moment, right? But why don't we focus on, let's back it up a little bit, and let's focus on why you're in counseling in the first place, okay? I know I'm a stranger, and I promise I won't ask you every detail of your life. I'm sorry that you may have run into some therapist-patient-client relationships that weren't beneficial. But I'll do everything that I can to work with you to maybe perhaps see if we can't just help you out a little bit, okay? So you went to inpatient. How long ago was that?
A couple months ago.
Okay.
Probably.
A couple months ago. And before you going into inpatient, can you tell me a little bit about what was going on?
You're making a big mess.
Well, I had just graduated high school, and so a lot of changes were happening. I was trying to figure out college, the whole college thing, and not really sure if I wanted to go to college, but I felt a lot of pressure from my parents, and I still feel pressure from them now that I'm here in therapy. They're really, I wouldn't say forcing because they can't, but they're highly suggesting that I be here. And
A lot of pressure from parents.
Yeah.
A lot of times that can be, the norm for a lot of parents. They only want what's best for you, right? And they think that maybe getting that education or moving on could be the best thing. Is that what you want to do, though? I mean, I realize making that choice could be difficult, but if you were to look at yourself, let's say 5-10 years down the road, having a college degree or something, is that kind of what do you know what you want to be when you grow up?
not really, no. I've wanted to do, I don't know, like hair, something a little simpler. I don't like the whole college thing, like doing all the prerequisites and taking all those hard classes that I don't really want to learn about. That's intimidating to me, but both my parents are doctors, and so there's a lot of pressure, and my siblings are very successful and do a lot of things, and so I don't know.
That makes sense. And is that what, if I had to ask you if there was a trigger or something that caused you to need to be inpatient or to feel as though you wanted to try to take your own life, would that be or did something more formal happen or an actual event?
No, I think it was a lot of the pressure built up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And is that pressure normal around your household? Or did you grow up?
I feel like I've
Tell
been
me.
used to it my whole life, yeah.
Okay.
I'm the youngest, and so
Okay.
just always seeing my family achieve and just advance in everything they do, and I'm not like that. Learning doesn't come super naturally to me. It takes a lot of hard work, and I feel that I'm smart, but I don't feel that I want to be as smart as them anymore.
Sorry.
Be
Waiting.
I think it's the level of success that they have. I feel like it's like a status thing for them, and I just don't want that.
Absolutely.
I don't care to have that.
Absolutely. And have you been able to have this discussion? Is that something you would like to do, or have you been able to have a discussion with your parents?
No, I feel like it would hurt them.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel that it's necessary to have that conversation with them, really.
Okay. All right. Your previous relationships with a therapist, whether it be inpatient or outpatient, was it with one particular therapist?
I've been through a few.
Okay.
I didn't have a great experience in my inpatient setting with the therapist because I felt like I was just, another person on their list to see.
Okay.
I felt that, I don't know, I felt that there was no time to care necessarily. They kind of did their job and got out. They didn't, I felt like they saw me as a project and not necessarily as a real person, and that was hurtful. And ever since I got out of inpatient, it's just been, I feel like that's just in my head now, and that, this is a therapist's job, and so this is what they come to work to do, and they don't care, and I don't care to see them, and
Okay.
that's where I'm at.
Did you say that you feel like they don't see the real you?
Yeah, because I don't want them to.
Okay.
I don't,
Okay.
I'm not
That's
comfortable with that,
good. Okay.
because it's a stranger at the end of the day.
What about at home? Do you feel like at home they want to see the real you, or is that a choice they are making, or is that a choice you are making?
Maybe a little both. I don't maybe feel comfortable showing them who I am or who I want to be. I don't even know who I am exactly.
Okay. Right. You can't show somebody if you don't
Yeah.
even know
Yeah.
yourself, but sometimes we need that space
Yeah.
to figure that out.
Yeah, and yeah, space would be good.
Yes.
Yeah.
A safe space, so to speak.
Yeah,
Okay.
or just to get out of the house would
Okay.
be good too.
Okay. All right. But again, these concerns of yours, the way that you're feeling about the pressure following in their footsteps and whatnot, this is not something that you've discussed or are able to implement. You're saying you would like to maybe move out or not be directly in the home where you can get some relief.
Yeah.
Is that an option for you right now?
Not financially right now, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
And especially after what happened earlier,
Okay.
with inpatient and everything, then I don't think they would let me, even if I asked them.
All right. And do you feel like they are keeping you close now because they are afraid?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Right,
So on some
rightfully
level,
so, I
there's
mean-
some care there. There's some love,
There is.
some
Yeah.
concern
Yeah.
from a parental
Yeah, and I get
Okay.
it. I mean, rightfully so. Like, I wasn't in a good mind frame. I shouldn't have done what I did, and I'm well aware of that now. I know how much that would hurt them and everything, but it's just thinking, like, I don't know when they'll just trust me again or release that.
Absolutely. And so, do you know, or not do you know, but can you understand why, after having attempted suicide, that's very serious, that they would want you to continue a relationship or continue to see someone and maybe talk to someone, like myself?
I get the idea. I don't get why it's hard for me, I guess, or just a hard process. I know that therapy is a normal thing to do, but I still feel like I'm under a microscope and that it's unnecessary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you that the point of coming to a therapist, coming to see me, and us just talking and maybe seeing what's going on is not to say you're broken or to say that there's something wrong with you. I can assure you that the pressures from mom and dad and those big changes, moving from high school to semi-adulthood and college, those are huge things.
Yeah.
And you're not by yourself in not knowing what you want to be when you grow up. I can honestly say that I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, just until just a few years ago. So if I can, I'd like to maybe earn your trust, and begin to, it's going to take some time. It's not we sit down one time and get this thing figured out, and I write down some steps for you to do, and it's over like that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it just won't happen that way. But I do think, and I have very, high confidence in our ability to maybe work through some of those barriers with trust and anxiety, just kind of feeling like there's pressure for you to perform, or pressure for you to spill your guts or spill your, tell me your life story. I promise you, you're the master of your life, not me.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be the one to share what, we need to, or if something's bothering you, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So again, I'm sorry that you've had those awful relationships and that wasn't helpful, but maybe we can look at the bright side and say that if those things hadn't happened, you may not have made it here to sit and talk to me. And so let's look at, not as time wasted, not as, just irrelevant or something, but just various things that drove you to here, and maybe we can turn this thing around.
Yeah.
And see if we can't get you some relief, a safe space. I'd love to be able to give you that safe space where, you can come and talk and just kind of, we can figure out, what may be the best course of action. Because it sounds like you want to maybe get some new messages across to your parents.
Yeah.
Something that you've not, done very much of in times past, but you're at that change. You're at that moving from the little girl to the big girl, and so with that change will come some changes with your relationship with your parents as well.
Yeah.
So, does that sound like something that we might be able to,
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I'm worried about what's going to be different about this relationship,
Absolutely.
therapy than the other ones I've been to.
Absolutely.
And I don't know, there were some things I really didn't like at the other places that I don't want to happen here either.
Okay.
There was one therapist that just read off worksheets all the time, and that really bothered me. She didn't really ask me questions. She just kind of told me what to do,
Okay.
and that bothered me, and I left more frustrated than when I came in, and I don't know, that was the big one that really bothered me.
Okay. worksheets. You're my main focus when I'm in therapy, and we're all different. And there may be some clients for that therapist that her format and her style is going to work perfectly, and that just may not have been what's best for you, right? Sometimes we may have some homework or something, and I may have some actual sheets, but I'd like to make sure you know you're my primary focus, you know, and we're just gonna talk, you know? I don't want to have the added pressure right now of papers and homeworks and notes and things like that. We're just gonna chat. What other things have you encountered while in session with the client, with the therapist, that may have made you uncomfortable?
One of them looks at the clock all the time, and that was weird to me. I just felt like another little project, you know, like a little time limit, and I'm fine with like being on time and everything, but it was annoying to have them check their watch every few minutes, and yeah, that was a big one.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a clock. There's a reason for that. Again, focusing on you, not how much time we have, or, you know, I do have a timer, but it's a very small, you know, and we'll hear a small beep when our allotted office time is up. I do have other, you know, clients who come in, and so we have just sessions and whatnot, but you definitely let me know if we're onto something, and we need more time. I will make that time available and just schedule my appointments accordingly. Again, my time is your time, so I don't want you to feel like I'm watching the clock, or, you know, I don't have time for you, because that's definitely not the case. But I can understand why that would make you feel, you know, just like a check mark or something on a sheet, and not so much as an actual person named Hannah, who, you know, has some concerns going on. What about at home? Are you guys on would you say home is rigid time schedules? I know those are very common characteristics of a household. You know, a successful household, there's always a schedule, always
yeah, that's kind of another thing that everyone else likes in my family besides me is timeliness and very specific planned out days and schedules, and you know, there's charts and boards all over my house, but it's never clicked with me. Like sometimes I'm a little late to things, and sometimes I cancel, and I don't know, it's just not a priority to me.
Absolutely. So those having happened in a therapy session almost reminds you of how that may happen in real life, right? And at home, if you're not on time or not on schedule, being concerned with the clock, basically. Yeah. So I can understand why that would make you feel, that would bring up maybe some, not old feelings, but, you know, some common
nervous
discomfort.
Nervous and unsettled.
Excuse me. Absolutely. So while you were inpatient, I know that you were checked on by medical doctors as well as by a therapist. What was that therapy like for you inpatient?
It was one of those things where I think I mentioned earlier, it was just kind of like, I don't know, we did groups and things, and we did individual, but it was very short. It was go in there and kind of talk about what you did and why you did it and how you're feeling, and I don't know, it just, the whole experience was really taxing, and
not much benefit from a therapy standpoint. You didn't feel like it was a benefit. Let me rephrase that.
Right.
You didn't feel like it was a benefit for you in that kind of a setting.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Okay. And how long were you in?
It was 3 days.
3 days. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, again, I'm very glad that you're not feeling the way you felt when you had to go inpatient, because that is my a huge concern for me, right? I don't want you to walk away just from our first session here today, you know, feeling unsatisfied. And if I could, I'd like to, you know, continue to meet and work with you on, to see if maybe we can just really spend some time together, some genuine time. No rush, no clocks, no papers, but just maybe kind of get to, you know, how you can successfully transition, right, from where you've been in the household and wanting some things, being different, feeling different, and wanting to make that transition and blossom and grow. And still have the love and admiration and support from, you know, mom, dad, siblings. Basically redefine success, right? Because right now they've got a definition of what that looks like. And we've got to maybe see about how we can change their lens a little bit to make you also fit that description, right?
Well, that sounds good.
Good deal. Any other questions? Is there anything, I know this is our first session, and I know that we don't have much time, unfortunately, to just really get in there. But is there anything else that you would like to talk about, or that's really pressing right now that we may be able to cover, or?
No.
Okay. All right, well, I look forward to seeing you on our next session. How was this time for you?
It was
Is
good.
our time limit okay?
Yeah.
Okay, well then I'll reschedule our next appointment for the same amount of time, and we'll go from there. Is that a deal?
That's the deal. Thank you.
You are so welcome.